Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, I'm just going to wait a few minutes and go ahead and share this out and let people know that I am live. And there's the puppy. Hey, big boy. You don't want to eat your breakfast, huh? Okay, so I got a fun topic today. I we're going to react to Candace Owens' video about White Lives Matter, and she specifically talks. This is a health and fitness channel, so she talks about obesity in the Black community, and I actually didn't know the numbers were that high. To be honest with you, I was a little shocked, and so yeah, I was pretty shocked. So let me just finish. I'll give it like I usually try and wait a couple minutes before I share this out with you guys. I like to wait a couple minutes before I get started anyway, because just give you guys some time and give the algorithm some time to let people know that I am live. Oh my gosh, so funny. So let me put this on the internet. Let the people know. Okay. So if you guys don't know who Candace Owens is, I think a lot of people know who she is. Um, I don't agree with everything that she says, but sometimes when she comes with statistics, they're just accurate, and there's nothing that you can say about them. You can't argue with them, and not only can you not argue with them, they're visible to the naked eye. Like if you walk out on the street, some of these statistics are visible. So instead of just recapping what she says, I'm going to go ahead and play it, and that way you guys can hear exactly from the horse's mouth. Let me give you a premise. Her and Kanye West wore like some White Lives Matter shirts. I actually don't know why they did that. I don't understand I think they were trying, it was like irony, like, oh, we say that Black Lives Matter, but then there's all these things that are killing Black people that are not white police officers. I think that was their message. Um, it doesn't matter. They accomplished their goal because everybody's talking about them. So that's actually, it doesn't really matter what their it doesn't matter what their rationale is. It accomplished the goal. So her whole she made a podcast called White Lives Matter episode. It's episode 17. You can go watch it on her channel. And what she does is she breaks down the statistics that what's really killing Black people. So is it police officers or and she runs down a list of all these things that are killing Black people. And one of the things that she mentions is obesity. And this is something that I've talked about on my channel a lot. And well, not a lot. I've talked about it relatively lightly because honestly, I get a lot of backlash whenever I talk about how a lot of Black women are obese. I get so much backlash, and people are hostile about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play for you 2 segments, and I'll stop in between. And by the way, you guys, I hope that this video doesn't get taken down by YouTube. I think I have to pause it a lot because when you pause it, then you don't get, it's like not fair use, kind of thing. So let me see if I can play it, and you guys will let me know if you can hear it. If it's too loud, I'm sorry.
Higher proportion of Latina and Black women. But that's not the only thing that's killing Black America, literally. We also know obesity is killing Black America. I wish, you know what we should have done? We should have put a White Lives Matter t-shirt on Lizzo. Maybe we could have gotten a lot of attention about obesity and how it's actually killing Black Americans. Obesity is the #1 killer in America. Okay, I know Black Lives Matter told you it was police shootings, right? It made you think that thousands of Black men were dying at the hands of.
Okay, I need to follow up on that statistic about if it's, I don't know if she meant it's the #1 killer of Black people or if it's the #1 killer in America, because those are two very different things. But that's either. Although I do believe that it's obesity, because with obesity comes a lot of health implications that end up, they can, they can end up with, it's basically a comorbidity. So if you're already obese, then there's a million other things that can happen as well, just based on your obesity. So I'll have to follow up on that.
Of police? No, absolutely not. I think in the year 2020, was it 9 unarmed Black men were killed by police? 9 of them. But obesity is killing people at a very high rate, and Black women have the highest rates of obesity. It's the #1 killer, and of course, we sit at the top of it. Black women, 56.9% of us are classified as obese.
Okay, I want to stop here. First of all, I was actually shocked. I was shocked that it was 56.9% of Black women were considered obese. And I want to, let me see if I can share my screen with you guys and pull up the BMI chart. 56.9% of Black women are considered obese. And so you guys know me, and you know that I'm not warm and fuzzy. And I actually agree with this statistic because there are a lot of Black women who are overweight. Now, obese, I don't know how they're classifying obese. If they're classifying obese according to the BMI, there is some wiggle room. But just because someone is not obese doesn't mean that they're healthy. Do you see what I'm saying? So, for example, the BMI is purely based on weight and height. And so let's say if you are someone, and Black women tend to carry more muscle than other races of women. So they tend to have a little bit more body weight in general. But there's like levels to the BMI. There's obesity, there's overweight, there's morbidly obese, there's within range. And you can still be not in the obese category and still be overweight and unhealthy. So I don't want us to get caught up in the fact that, well, she said the obese and it's based on the BMI and the BMI is not accurate. Well, we all know that the BMI doesn't necessarily account for not only Black people, but for athletes. Like athletes in general can't necessarily jive with the BMI because the BMI scale doesn't necessarily account for muscle, and it doesn't account for body fat percentage. And typically body fat percentage is a better indicator of health than weight and height. So I'm curious to know what measure they use for obesity. And then I'm curious to know how many women actually fit in the overweight and obesity range versus just the obesity range. Because I think the number's higher. I'm just going to keep it a buck. I think the number is higher. I actually think it's closer to 60 to 70% in terms of overweight. And now I have to say, if you know me and you know this channel, you know that I am technically overweight for my height. Okay. If you follow me on Instagram, you can go ahead and take a peek, because your girl's not overweight. Like I don't look overweight, but according to the BMI, I am. So there is some nuance here. There is some, we have to be kind of careful about how we talk about this. But what I would be interested in, the statistic that I want to know, is how many Black women are above 25% body fat, because that is the real indicator of health. Yes, it's shocking that a lot of Black women are obese. 56% of them are considered obese. And I want to, I think I'll maybe let it play a little bit more, and then I'll talk about this next thing that I want to talk about and what I hear from this statistic. So let's see.
We shouldn't talk about that. You know why? Because it didn't have a t-shirt on it that said White Lives Matter. talk about criminality. No one wants to talk about it if you're not talking about a police officer, right? People don't want to talk about the fact that Black people are slaughtering other Black people. People don't want to talk about Black on Black crime. It doesn't matter because we're doing it to ourselves, right? Just like we're aborting our own babies. Applaud it. Applaud it. In fact, put it in the music. Put the criminality in the music and celebrate it. Give it a Grammy. Give Black criminality a Grammy so that we understand that this is ours. Sit in the cool.
Okay, so I think she's done with this piece. What I hear when I hear that 56.9% of Black women are obese, and if you're just coming in, like there, I said a million caveats, so you're gonna have to watch later. But if that statistic is true, right? Regardless of, so here's my thing about the whole obesity thing too. Regardless of whether or not you're actually obese, a lot of people are overweight. That would just bump them down to the overweight category because no one's going from obese to healthy, right? Like you're either in the obese category or you're in the overweight category. Regardless, I'm not okay with it. Now, let me tell you guys what I hear. When I hear that 56.9% of Black women are obese, I hear that 56.9% of Black women still don't know their value. 56.9% of Black women still don't think that their health is more important than whatever else they got going on. 56.9% of Black women are still stuck in their trauma. 56.9% of Black women are still willing to die from a preventable cause. And what that tells me is that we have work to do in our community around our value and our accountability and our self-worth. We have work to do because when you value yourself and when accountability is of the utmost importance, this sort of thing doesn't happen. And we know that diabetes runs rampant, high blood pressure runs rampant in the Black community. And we know that indicators of this is being overweight and being obese. We know this. We don't want to turn a blind eye to those things. We also know that there's a lot of trauma in the Black community. There's a lot of trauma, whether that be from parents, the neighborhood that you live in. You could fine. I'll even concede that there's racism, right? I'll concede that. But what gets me is that Black women have transcended a lot of things, right? We are the most educated group of women, educated group of people in the United States. But for some reason, we can't transcend obesity. And that to me is very strange. Very, very strange. And I'm going to tell you after we listen to the second clip, what I think is happening and what I think needs to happen. Because it makes no sense to me that, we have been told that we were, from the time that our ancestors were brought over on ships, sold on ships by our own people to this country, that we were not taught to read. We were not allowed to go to school. We were told that we were not smart. We had barrier after barrier after barrier for education and job opportunities. But for some reason, we're able to transcend that. We're able to say, you know what? We're going to do it anyway. But when it comes to our weight and our health and our value and our self-worth, for some reason, we can't get on board. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with that as a Black woman. What is wrong with us? I have a problem with that. Okay, let me pull up this second piece that I think is really important. I'm also going to go live on Instagram too. Put this up on my Instagram really quickly. Okay, so let me see the second piece. Did I get the right one? Okay, so this next piece, which I actually, you guys, so I made a video on the Self magazine cover. There was this like large Black woman on the Self magazine cover or fitness magazine cover, and I made a video on that, and so I had some comments that I'm gonna try and share with you guys on a separate screen. But you guys, we will literally fight for our right to be obese, and it's sad.
Mad if anybody else says it outside of them. Like it's just their word. Oh my God. Oh my God. But they're actually doing it. And the same people that are sitting in this truck, punking society, just seeing how far Black America will take it, are just upping the ante. It seems every day. I go back to what I said earlier, right? Obesity. They're sitting in the truck and they're like, okay, Lizzo is fat. Lizzo is very fat. Lizzo is obese, and obese is very obviously the #1 killer in society. Do you think that we could get her to be proud of being fat and to tell other people that they should be proud to be fat? No. Should we see if she will go as far as to have a Netflix docuseries of her?
Okay, I didn't know that Lizzo had a Netflix docuseries. That part is scary to me. It's scary to me how much we will fight for our right to be unhealthy. And it's interesting. She's going on he's pontificating about how, it's almost like we're being punked, where they're like, hey, let's see how much we can get them to, basically denigrate themselves. How much can we get these people to love the fact that they're overweight, unhealthy, immobile, diseased? How much can we do that? And when you think about Lizzo, and she is like, when you think about Lizzo and how talented she is, the #1 thing that they have her promoting is her body and her obesity. They're not promoting the fact that she's like a world-class flautist. They're not promoting that. They're not promoting the fact that she is a brilliant songwriter. Just an all-around talented woman. No. The most important thing is that Lizzo promotes obesity. Because if we can get people to be okay with being obese, then we're going to get them to be okay with being mediocre in every area of their life. This is something, you guys, that we talked about last week in my Not Another Fitness Challenge, which, by the way, is still enrolling. We've got 11 weeks left. And so I'm going to allow you to enroll for the next 3 weeks. I'm going to go ahead and put a link in the description or in the comment section. And then I'll go ahead and link it when the live stream is over. Where are my notes? Is that what that is? I don't know what that is. One of the things that we talked about in that course in our live session last week was the fact that people will hold on to their weight, because the reality is, once you lose weight and once you actually get healthy, you now can no longer convince yourself that you can't do other things. That was a huge realization in our Not Another Fitness Challenge this week. My clients were saying, hey, I'm realizing that maybe the reason why I keep holding on to fat loss or to my weight is because once I gain this weight, once I lose this weight and get healthy and change my lifestyle, now I have no excuse to not do anything else. I have no excuse. And when Candace Owens brought up the point of, hey, let's see if we can get Black women to fight for their right to be overweight, to fight for their right to be obese, what we're doing is we're having them fight for their right to be complacent, fight for the right to be undersold. And I will take it a step further. And you guys have never heard me talk about this. I almost think that people know and understand that Black women have transcended the race stuff, right? We have transcended that when it comes to education. Black women are the most educated group of people on the planet, but for some reason, our weight is still holding us back. We're still 56.9% of us are still obese. And I think that people know that when Black women can conquer the weight issue, we're going to be even more unstoppable, because what else are you going to do with a woman who's already been told that she can't read, she can't write, she can't go to school, she was enslaved, she was a woman, she's coming from impoverished neighborhoods, she's got all these barriers against her, yet she still transcends in the workplace and in education. Don't let her get healthy. Don't let her find some confidence. Don't let her all of a sudden conquer her mind and conquer her body, because once a woman does that, it's game over. It's game over. And that's what health is about. It's about conquering your mind and conquering your body so that you can learn, and working with your body and working with your mind so that you can do whatever it is that you want to do in your life. And when we sit up here and we fight for our right to be obese, we fight for our right to be mediocre. It is sad. And okay, I have to tell you guys, I despise the fact that it was Candace Owens who had to tell y'all this. I don't like that it was her, because people will not listen to her message. Okay? They will not listen to the message that she's saying, which is, hey, you guys, they're playing you. They're telling you Lizzo is over here telling everybody that she's so happy and she's loving her body and it's okay that she's obese. I had someone on my channel talking about, I'd rather be obese than be a skinny size 8. I was like, size 8 ain't skinny. I don't know in what world that is, unless you're like 5'10". That's not skinny. That's just healthy. But we have convinced ourselves that being overweight is normal. It's a problem. It's a problem. And I will say this again, for the group of women who has transcended all kinds of barriers, particularly in education, the fact that we have not yet conquered our minds and our bodies through health and fitness is holding us back. We are still not at our potential. And I spoke earlier in this live about, when I hear that statistic that 56.9% of women are obese, Black women, what I hear is 56.9% of women are still in their trauma. 56.9% of women are still undervaluing themselves. 56.9% of women still think it's okay to be unhealthy. And I, as a Black woman, have a problem with that. I am not okay with that. And that's why I do what I do. And I used to just like, try and be mild mannered when I talked about this, but I'm like, this is an issue. This is an issue in our community where we don't value ourselves. We don't hold ourselves accountable to be healthy. And we can talk all day long about how, we don't have the resources. We don't have, but baby, you found the resources to go to school. You found the resources to go to college. You found the resources to get that master's degree because you transcended those barriers. You can transcend other ones as well, but you have to be willing to let go. And in this clip, Candace talks about identifying with being obese, identifying with being, in the rap videos and in the hip hop music, there's a lot of identifying with being violent. And we in the Black community have identified with being overweight, as if that is a mark of being Black, is being unhealthy. Couldn't be me. Couldn't be me. It just couldn't be me. And it pains me because, again, when you have a wall of, it's actually fat, but you have a wall up, an emotional wall, because you're protecting yourself from God knows what, the childhood trauma, yourself. You just can't live a full life. Like, we are not living our full lives as Black women when we are stuck in that. Okay, you have to get to the point, we have to get to the point as a community where we also bring health to the top of our totem, our list. We actually, I think in the Black community, we do a really good job of telling young girls, young women particularly, not young men, to get an education, take care of yourself. We are very hard on our young women when it comes to education, more so than we have been in the past, but we are very soft on their health. And it's like, okay, but do you want your daughter to be healthy? Do you really want her to thrive? Because you're not thriving if you're well educated, but you can't move. You're not thriving. And our community is never going to thrive if that's the mindset. We have to thrive spiritually, emotionally, physically as well, psychologically as well. And that's going to require some work. That's going to require us to do the inner work. And that's the inner work that I have my clients do in my programs is we get down to the nitty gritty. We get down to the fact that, you know what? You're going to have to stop identifying with those women who think that being obese is part of being a Black culture. It's not. I mean, it could be a part of your culture, but it's not a part of my culture. That's not for me. You're going to have to stop identifying with being overweight as being a Black trait. It's sickening. Being overweight is not a Black thing. It shouldn't be a Black thing, but we have come to embrace it as, oh, well, that's just us. I'm like, what? How about being healthy is us? Can we adopt that mindset? And that's for a whole nother video. Because the other thing about, well, we don't want to be white. Well, why is it that white people always get the good traits? Like you speak with diction and elocution. You're white. I'm like, hey, but that's a good thing. Like I'm an English teacher. I'm gonna speak well. Oh, but you're healthy. That's white. Like I'm like, that's not. No one's worried about white people over here. We are over here worried about being our best selves. I care about me. I'm selfish in that way. I'm very selfish in that way. The comment that I got on my video was like, you're worried about the white gaze. Baby, I'm worried about the gaze of God. Okay? I'm not worried about the white gaze. I'm worried about, am I taking care of my body? But when we're allowed to victimize ourselves and say, well, it's just white people. We are trying to please white people. Y'all wild. Y'all are wild. Like, that's crazy to me. My job is to be healthy. I don't care what white people think. I actually don't. And neither should you. My job should be, am I healthy? Am I the healthiest, most educated, most self-aware, most spiritually grounded version of myself? And that has nothing to do with white supremacy. Nothing. But there's that whole mentality of like, oh, we got to make sure we're not interfering with the white people, make sure we're not mixing with the white people, make sure that, we stay in our position. You can stay stuck or you can ascend. It's up to you. That's it. And when you're ready to ascend, you can go ahead and click on one of the links in my description box and join me, because we're on an ascension path. We're done with this, we're victims and we're obese and that's a Black culture thing. And we're going to continue to kill ourselves with food and stress eating. We're done. We're done over here in this corner of the internet. Okay, you guys? All right. Thank you for joining me. If you are interested in coaching from me, you can go ahead and visit joannajoy.com and send me a message there. You can also follow me on Instagram. It's joannajoy_. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.